minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
We like the juice.
T minus 50 seconds.
At the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T minus 40 seconds.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T minus 30 seconds.
Rick Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now you having some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it, right
2,
here.
1, 0.
Let's dig in. Welcome back to the Football Card Quest. My name is Andy. This is Steve, the eBay Hitman, and we are about to unpack a lot of NFL goodness that has gone down this week. A ton of running back signings, some new wide receiver trades and free agency moves, a lot of quarterbacks changing teams, and this is causing a frenzy on eBay in the football card market. Steve, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm all over the place. I don't even know where to start. There's so many topics to cover, so many players that have moved or are about to move, and speculation to speculate on. And it's just a good time to be talking football, Andy. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. If it appears that I'm looking more and more like a caveman every week, that's because I am. My beard trimmer broke, and I have not gone and bought a new one yet. So I just continue to get shaggier and shaggier every week. But I am focused on what's important, Steve, and that is trying to find some football card deals, trying to make sense out of all these moves and trades and free agency signings. We got some Minshew mania to talk about tonight. We've got a lot of new Bears players. There's a lot of new players on the Bears we want to talk about, and David Montgomery no longer on the Bears. We want to talk about what we feel that means for David Montgomery on the Lions, DeAndre Swift, and also Khalil Herbert, and what the Bears got going on this offseason, man. It's hype city. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, just when you think they're done signing, news keeps coming in. Just about an hour ago, Deonta Foreman coming from Carolina to play running back for the Bears.
Yeah, Deonta Foreman, and you can actually pop over to eBay. And I was looking at some sold Deonta Foreman items before the stream, Steve, and people are buying. And I actually got it sorted by auto, so I'm going to open up the search a little bit here to actually 2017. And this guy was an absolute bruiser. Did I even spell it? Yeah, there's an apostrophe between D and Onta. And this guy was a total bruiser. Look at all these buy it nows going down today. Even a little horizontal on-card rookie auto for $8, man.
I like it. I mean, he looked beastly at times for the Panthers. Now, they perhaps had a much better line than we do. But, again, it's still the offseason, and it's too early to say where that may shake up for our line. I think it's going to improve. I think that's probably where we're going in the draft. So, man, I'm pretty pumped up. We got a new two-headed monster, if you will.
Yeah, new two-headed monster. I like Khalil Herbert as well. He's very efficient. Deonta Foreman, Carolina did run the ball a lot last year. They had a lot of issues at quarterback. We'll talk about Baker Mayfield tonight to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how I feel about that and how you feel about that. Deonta Foreman had 14 breakaway runs last year that ranked 9th amongst running backs in the NFL. Those are runs over 15 yards. So this guy, you can go watch his highlight reel. It's pretty dang impressive. I'm excited to see him a Chicago Bear. Obviously, the biggest the biggest trade to go down besides Aaron Rodgers declaring, yes, he wants to play for the Jets. They're trying to work out the fine print. He's got his list of players that he's demanded. They've already signed Alan Lazard. I'm sure they're probably trying to work on deals for Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis. And I don't know whoever else, Jordy Nelson. I don't know who Aaron Rodgers wants to, old dusty wide receiver he wants to bring back. But that looks like that's going to happen. Outside of that, though, the Bears trade their number 1 pick back to the Carolina Panthers for DJ Moore. And you guys get a true bona fide alpha. You and I have both been fans of DJ Moore because of his incredible win rate against man coverage and his ball skills and his air yard share, his target share. How do you feel that DJ Moore is now on the Chicago Bears?
Man, it's pretty exciting. We haven't had like a superstar wideout probably for as long as I could remember. The maybe the closest you could say was like Alshon Jeffrey in his prime, who, hey, that was nothing to shake your head at. But I think DJ Moore is even better than that, and I don't think we've seen the top of the mountain for him quite yet. And maybe this wasn't necessarily the best place for him as far as like uncapping his true potential. We're not a pass heavy team, at least not at the moment. But again, that could all change with the new regime they bring in as far as what the line's going to look like, who the rest of their receivers are.
Yeah, and it should open things up for Mooney and Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet, right? I know you're a big Cole Kmet fan, and he's got like this secret, group of collectors for these high-end Cole Kmet cards that you're always sending me that you're missing out on because you're like blown away with what they end at.
It is kind of maddening at times. Sometimes a few slip through, but there's definitely a few other people other than myself trying to grab those up. Derek said Brandon Marshall. Yeah, true. I don't feel like he ever lived up to his Pro Bowl status that he had with the Broncos, but yeah, no, Brandon Marshall was legit.
Check out the green crystals, which, I mean, you could call this crystals. I call it cracked ice. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I always thought that was cracked ice. I'm sure, I guess some people call it crystals. Maybe from some sets it's crystals. 27 out of 75. $57.99 sold today in auction. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. DJ Moore doesn't have a big graded market, so I don't have a ton of data on his graded football card. The population, like on a Silver Prism Auto, for example, there's only 24 PSA 10s, 35 PSA 9s, but you can see the price increase. Look at the buy it now increase right there, brother, over the past few days since the news dropped last weekend.
Yeah, for those of you that remember, the last couple seasons, his values have been down in the dumps because it seems like the only quarterback he has any rapport with was Sam Darnold. And when that wasn't happening, he was effectively like a superstar lost in the weeds, basically, because they didn't have a play caller that can get the ball to him. That's not the case now. But again, I do think that they throw the ball more now. It remains to be seen how much more. Hopefully quite a bit more.
Yeah, and this gets me excited for a guy like Darnell Mooney, who's a true field stretcher. He's never wasn't a guy intended to be an alpha, a possession style receiver that's going to get a 25% target share. Now you've got a true guy that can do that and just catch the ball all over the field, generate yards after the catch, and beat all kinds of coverage. And you've got Darnell Mooney sending him down the field and catching those occasional touchdowns. So I can see these big boom games from Darnell Mooney while DJ Moore is soaking up a lot of target share. And then you got Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet playing from closer to the line. Man, I'm liking the way this shapes up. I know you guys don't have much of an offensive line, but you've got Justin Fields, who is one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league now, after this past breakout season of his rushing ability. And that can really neutralize a lot of what you're lacking on the offensive line.
Yeah, the ability to scramble does kind of make up for weak O-line play, plus having a good amount of talent at the receiver or tight end position. So they are obviously a lot deeper at those positions now. So they'll have someone to unload the ball to, most likely someone that'll be open. Wide receiver is probably this one. Yeah, I mean, it's not a outstanding receiving core, but I mean, it's definitely good enough to win. I mean, they had a incredibly high scoring offense last year with effectively little to no passing game. So it only gets better from here.
Yeah, you guys only are, can go up this year. I mean, you can only go up. All right. So what's your most favorite acquisition this week that you've seen? Let's talk quarterbacks. The football card market is run by quarterbacks primarily, first and foremost. Those guys kind of drive the market, get most of the eyeballs, get most of the attention, the demand on eBay. What's your favorite quarterback storyline unfolding this week?
Well, it wasn't PJ Walker, I'll tell you that. Probably my least favorite. But man, I don't know. I know we talked a little about Carr last week. I'm very intrigued by that one. I like the Minshew one, not to keep riding the Minshew train, but a few weeks ago I said that that's where he was going. I still believe that that's a place he can be successful. Obviously, if they go and take a top QB, he may have a short-lived run as starter, maybe, but maybe he plays well and they let someone mature behind him for a year or two.
Look, and as of right now, the announcement was made by Ian Rappaport as the Colts landing its backup. We really don't know if we should believe that or not, given the Colts are picking at number 4 and not guaranteed to find a quarterback in the 2023 draft. But either way, Minshew is a high-end backup or a bridge starting quarterback. I think it's a smart move. He also worked with their new head coach, right? Shane Steichen, the former offensive coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles. So he worked with Shane Steichen last season. Minshew finished the last season stepping in for Jalen Hurts in a couple games where he threw for 663 yards in 2 starts, adding a rushing touchdown and 3 passing touchdowns. So let's go. Wheels up, Gardner Minshew. I mean, not wheels up per se, but I think this is a very promising opportunity for him to get a starting job. Obviously, I think there will be somewhat of a quarterback battle competition depending on who they draft. Some of these guys coming out like Stetson Bennett, very pro ready. There could be somewhat of a quarterback battle there in preseason and training camp. But the AFC South is pretty soft, man. We're talking about the Jags kind of running the AFC South for the next couple of years as the Titans are entering a rebuild mode, and the Houston Texans have so many more holes than the Titanic. It's like, the Colts are contenders, man. They are contenders. Although they did trade Stephon Gilmore, who is a all-pro defensive corner. So the defense kind of took a little step back in that trade. But I think this is a big opportunity. We're finally gonna maybe see a starting opportunity for the Mississippi Mustache. I'm excited about it, man. I've got a couple Gardner Minshew cards. I don't think the hobby's going to really react too crazily to this news. I mean, we're actually, look, here's a couple buy it nows, man. Rookie ticket auto, PSA 10, 189. Great deal right there. Yep. So some low-hanging fruit being sold, but no prices are going up exponentially. This is just volume, which, is like the precursor to the prices going up.
I think another QB signing that I'm not a fan of is Tampa. I mean, you got, a second-round pick invested in Trask, who's sat behind, Brady for the last 2-3 years. I think at this point you got to at least give him a shot. I think they are giving him a shot based on what I see with Mayfield. They gave him a 1-year deal. They gave him $8 million. That's not necessarily indicative of a guy that they're planning to start or keep for a long time. So I think that there's at least a QB battle here. And I think they just want to put a little heat on Trask. They don't want him to think that he's just walking away with the job. we'll see what happens. I'd like to see it. It'd be a great story if he pulls it off.
Yeah, it's a 1 year, $8.5 million contract for Baker Mayfield. Allegedly or reportedly, it's $4 million guaranteed, and the rest of it's going to be incentive laden. So if he can actually earn the starting job and perform, yeah, I think he's absolutely going to have to compete with Kyle Trask. It's going to be like the Panthers preseason last year, where Baker Mayfield was competing against Sam Darnold for a starting job. So it's going to be a competition between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield this preseason. Baker Mayfield posted the league's worst completion rate over expected and the lowest adjusted EPA per play last year between Carolina and LA last year.
Yeah. I don't really know what. I think that money could have been better spent other places, honestly. I mean, he's a veteran QB, gives them some depth, blah, blah, blah. But, I think it was money better spent in another place.
We've traded away Shaq Mason. We've released Donovan Smith. We did re-sign Levante David. So Levante David back on the roster.
Very nice.
We re-signed Jamel Dean to a 4-year, $52 million contract. We restructured Russell Gage's contract to be a little bit more team friendly. Restructured Vita Vea's contract. Yeah, there's a lot of guys we're trying to keep around on the defense. We also picked up satellite back Chase Edmonds on a 1-year, $1.08 million contract, which I think shows a little bit of lack of confidence in Rachaad White being capable of a bell cow role, and not having a full amount of confidence in Keyshawn Vaughn either. So, just additional depth. Chase Edmonds is more or less, I mean, we've been excited for him whenever he got signed by Miami last year. Didn't work out. Really got beat out on the depth chart there. And he's a guy who can't handle a big workload, but I guess is finally Giovanni Bernard's finally retiring. This is like going to be the Chase Edmonds kind of role, have that satellite back role. I still expect there to be somewhat of a rotation between Rachaad White and Keyshawn Vaughn, depending on who's got the hot hand early downs. I'm not excited about any of the. I'm not really. My expectations are really low for Tampa overall next year. I can see some of these Baker Mayfield prices going up. I guess they were really low already, and I guess this is his chance to revitalize his career. And I guess any quarterback that comes as Tom Brady's successor potentially is an interesting story. So I can see why some people are getting excited. I don't know, man. I don't think I'm going to buy any Baker Mayfield until I see what happens in September.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same cycle with him every year. I mean, the man's been on 5 teams in 4 years. I mean, no one's ruling out that, hey, he could maybe resurrect his career and all of a sudden he's way better and he's just a late bloomer, but most likely not. So I don't know. I think you see the same cycle again where people are like, this is his year. He finally puts it all together. And then, the cards go up a bit and then everyone's freaking out when he's mediocre, or in this case, terrible.
So speaking of one of those teams he played for, the Carolina Panthers, we talked about DJ Moore going to the Bears. That freed up a lot of targets. That's freed up like 150 targets for the Panthers. For Terrace Marshall is first and foremost probably got the biggest spike from that news. So what I want to say is that DJ Chark has visited with the Panthers. Apparently, he's working out with them on Friday, tomorrow, and there is a high likelihood that they sign DJ Chark or they draft a wide receiver. There's some other free agents. Juju Smith-Schuster just went to the Patriots. We could talk about that. That's an interesting signing there. That's definitely led to some hype. But I guess my whole thought process is, if you are seeing some good prices on Terrace Marshall, I would take advantage of the current ADP spike before they signed another wide receiver. that's gonna garner a much bigger target share, and go ahead and sell those on the news, just like your highest prices for Kyle Trask were before Baker Mayfield signed, and now you've got to kind of sit it out and see who wins this quarterback battle and if he actually can overperform. That's why we always advocate having those cards listed in the buy it nows, ready to go, because when the news drops, you want to go ahead and capitalize. You don't know what's going to happen a week or 2 or 3 later, especially right now in the free agency period, when these kind of surprise trades and acquisitions, stuff like that, can happen. Because if you're betting on them not happening, that's probably the minority. The likelihood of them signing another wide receiver is pretty high, and it could be DJ Chark as soon as tomorrow.
Victor brings up a good point. I was actually about to mention the Hayden Hurst signing, and I know that may not seem too significant, but if you watched any of the Cincy games, like, he wasn't leaned on that heavily, but he did pretty good when the ball was thrown his way just about every time. He's pretty athletic for a big guy. He doesn't really drop a lot of balls. He makes catches on the sidelines. Plus, Andy, who's a rookie quarterback's best friend? The tight end. The tight end. So, they don't have like a superstar at receiver right now. Maybe someone steps off the page and becomes that guy. Maybe it's DJ Chark, or maybe they just spread it out evenly, and that's the way they go about it. But I actually think, and maybe some people might disagree, I think the Panthers actually got better as a result of this trade in the short term, because obviously they gave up a lot of draft capital. But at the same time, they lost DJ Moore, but they have a strong run game. They have a really good defense. Now they're about to have a huge upgraded quarterback. So I think that overall, I think the team did get better.
I like the play on Hayden Hurst. He is from 2018 draft class. He is a former first-round tight end, and out of South Carolina. He's got a really solid athletic profile, 6'5", 250. And last year, I mean, the dude, 70 targets last year, going back to 2020 when he played for Atlanta. He had 88 targets. And looking at his stats and how they stack up in the tight end category, I mean, it's like middle of the pack overall. But, I mean, there's so many good weapons for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. He had some clutch games coming down the stretch. I mean, he ran a good amount of routes and 14% target share. Not bad, but about middle of the pack. But he's definitely got room for growth. But I think he's definitely going to be a critical component of the passing game with the rookie quarterback consensus. They draft CJ Stroud with the number 1 overall pick just because he's like the best, top rated complete package according to PFF. So keep your eyes out for that.
He's not deep in the pecking order behind Jamar Chase, behind crap, I'm having a total brain fart here. Behind all their pass catchers on that team, right? And he was probably the 4th option there, where he might be the 2nd option here.
So, in other quarterback news, Taylor Heineke goes to the Atlanta Falcons. His plan is to be the best backup he can be to Desmond Ridder, but another scrappy, somewhat of a rushing quarterback that frees more up for Sam Howell. It's our weekly bulletin. How are you feeling about Sam Howell? I still think that Sam Howell should be a target of people out there, and the Commanders, I think, are going to be a solid team, although a very difficult division. Man, let's talk about the Giants and the Cowboys, who finally released Ezekiel Elliott. That was another big storyline this week. Finally parted ways with Ezekiel Elliott after 6 seasons. The Commanders also signed Jacoby Brissett. So that's true. Commanders did sign Jacoby Brissett to a 1-year, $10 million contract. This is twice the size of Baker Mayfield's contract. This includes $8 million guaranteed. So, Brissett was serviceable starting quarterback in Deshaun Watson's stead until he was ready to go. I mean, he was 10th in EPA per play, and he threw for 2,608 yards and 12 scores in 8 starts. So, I mean, I think it seems like the Commanders are set on seeing what they have in Sam Howell, and Brissett gives them a solid floor if Howell struggles coming out of the gates in September. Is that kind of how you're thinking about this as well?
Yeah, and if we're being honest, like Brissett gives them the potential to have the best quarterback they've had in a while too. So that's a pretty good win-win situation, honestly. Brissett actually looked really good last year. You know, he wasn't really asked to do a lot, but he made a lot of great plays. And that might actually give a guy like McLaurin like a chance to have a really big season, not just a, superb season, but maybe like a really good season.
Bam! Prism is out on the block, y'all. 2022 Prism out in the wild. What do you think of it here, Steve?
Speculators, man. That's someone mentioned Trey Lance in the comments a minute ago. This is what you get with speculating, and this is either going to really work out in your favor or it's going to sting you in the A real hard. And as we saw with Trey Lance, that the mighty have fallen, and they've fallen real hard, man. And people were paying, Tom Brady-esque prices for a guy that, had never really started a football game before. But I think that's high. I think it's high. I think people are paying for a product that just came out. I don't know what that card actually sold for, maybe like $375 probably, but I think that card's, even if he plays well this year, he'll probably sit closer to like 175, 150.
175, 150. We can go look it up real quick over on 130point.com while you take your guesses. And I want to say hi to Derek and Jamie, Bob, Late Stick, Victor, Smurs in the house, Josh Williams, Tristan Playes. Let me see who else we got in here. Kenny Tucker, Card Vibe. I'm starring up some of these comments from you guys. I'm going back. Jason Van Castle, J Kid in the house. What's good, man? Joel Garza, Ron Frost, Hard Jim Ball. And did I miss anybody else? I think, I got Matt Murray. Who was first? Benjamin Ruggiero was first in the chat. I appreciate you, bro. Really appreciate you guys. Kenny Tucker, make sure you go down and hit that like button. All right, so I'm going to come over here to 130 point and search that real quick. What was your guess on this one, Steve?
375.
Let's see. Scatterbrain in the house. TW. What's good? There's James. He just grabbed a Rashawn Bateman.
Also, there was 2 of those that sold yesterday.
Buddy. 425, man. But look, wow, 1 sold for 3. This is the kind of stuff you get with a brand new product. You got super speculative quarterback play. Even though Late Stick, who is, I can confirm, a diehard, he knows this team probably better than any of us, anybody in the chat, is a Late Stick Sports Cards and Collectibles. Check out his football card channel as well, guys. Make sure you go check out Late Stick. He does some really good PSA reveals and box breaks and stuff over there. He says they're rolling with Howell through thick and thin.
It seems that way. The coaches are talking pretty highly of him. Andy, I wasn't too far off of the average of the 3 there.
Yeah, check that out, man. It's just wild. This is what happens with the combination of the speculative quarterback play plus a brand new product, and people always pay so much more for singles of a brand new product. And man, that is like one of the biggest tips I can give is just wait a few weeks till after the product circulates. Like wait until we get a really good idea of what the actual supply is. Because right now the supply is just kind of being spoon-fed out on eBay, and it's just a couple coming out at a time, whereas a couple months from now, it's going to seemingly be flooded, and you're going to look back, and now you've got so many more options, and it's like, now you can really capitalize on some deals, and you've got an idea of where the supply is, so you can figure out how much this card should actually be worth from this new set. And comp it out across the draft class. Comp Sam Howell out with the Matt Corral, even the Kenny Pickett's. Like if he's going to be a starter, comp him out across the draft class with these other quarterbacks to see if you're getting a good deal. Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, even though he's not going to be a starter. You could also look at Malik Willis, and comp him out and see where he stacks up amongst those guys, and to figure out if you're actually getting a deal. But definitely want to wait, right, Steve? You definitely want to wait. You're the eBay hitman.
Wait, go back up. Go back up. There's a silver prism for $300.
It's sold. It's sold. It freaking sold for $300 today. I mean,
What?
Shout out to SCE Sports Cards, who just made an incredible sale. I mean, this will be on flip of the week, flip of the month right here.
I will say it at least it looks pretty good centered, but no. no.
I mean, there better be a crap ton of personal collection value in this, and but I mean, man,
there was what time of day was that? Was there some drinking involved? Maybe.
There
Was
may
that
have
like
been
4
something
a.m. or
else
something?
involved.
Or?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I agree with Bob. I know Andy's not on board with that, but man, it's undeniable that he might have a chance to play some good football this year.
guys are cracking up at what that guy paid for this. Yeah, I mean, it blows me away. So the Giants desperately needing wide receiver help. They franchise tag Saquon Barkley. He's not thrilled about it, but dude is a team player. Love me some Saquon Barkley. He's a stud. They re-signed Daniel Jones. So they got Daniel Jones on a new contract. That's big. That's big for Daniel Jones in the offense. They bring in Paris Campbell, formerly of the Colts, to a 1-year, $3 million contract. The training camp wonder, Paris Campbell, from the 2019 draft class, that has that sub 4.4 speed. The guy is a really good route runner, but the problem with Paris Campbell was staying healthy. And then the Colts offense last year could just never get out of fourth gear. We're looking at some really cheap buy it now solds today. This is the kind of market activity. Gets a $4 million deal with incentives. The one thing I do like about his rookie product and now going to the Giants is there is some color match there with the blue to the big blue.
Speaking of Colts receivers, Andy, I know that you were early on the Ashton Dulin train. I was reading a lot of people that look at the deep dive numbers like yourself and are pretty excited about his prospects if he can stay healthy this year, especially if they go and take out like a AR-15 in the draft, or if they roll Minshew out there.
Oh, they're rolling. I think they're rolling Minshew out there, and I'm excited about it. I like Ashton Dulin as a deep sleeper. He's really only got the rookie ticket auto. The guy is such a great deep threat, and then you've got Michael Pittman Jr. all over the field, possession style receiver, just the alpha there on the outside. Paris Campbell was their number 2 last year. And, I think that this guy is going to fit in pretty nice with the Giants, man. They need a guy that's got speed like him, that is versatile. If he stays healthy, I absolutely think that we're looking at a pretty decent season for him running out of the slot, man. I think this pushes the Wan'Dale Robinsons down the depth chart, who was a guy who was always going to run out of slots. So, I think this pushes Wan'Dale Robinson down the depth chart, and I can definitely see some excitement brewing for Paris Campbell. I think this raises his ADP. I think he's a guy who could get close to and crest 1,000 receiving yards if he stays healthy. This past season, as the wide receiver 2 on the Colts anemic offense, he's still got 92 targets and 623 receiving yards. which he converted into 3 touchdowns. And he only had 576 air yards. So he actually had a pretty decent amount of yards after catch as well. So I like this move to the Giants. And I'd like to think that Daniel Jones gets even better next year. Second year for Brian Dable. They're greasing the groove there in New York.
Not to mention, Andy, a guy named Darren Waller.
Oh, yeah. They picked up Darren Waller as well.
It's a pretty big addition. You know, he's obviously dealt with some injuries the past 2 years. He's been off the field more than he's been on it. And even when he's been on it, he hasn't really looked himself. But he's in a whole new team, new play scheme, new coach. I honestly think that this is probably a good opportunity for him to turn things around.
Yeah, I know for a fact that James picked up
on the pecking order either.
No, man. I mean, they had that rookie Daniel Bellinger, who was decent. I mean, he was like a guy. I mean, they needed somebody. You know, Daniel Bellinger's okay, but I mean, Darren Waller's a freak athlete. I mean, he's a mismatch nightmare. He's just really struggled to stay healthy last year, and he is now entering his age 31 season. But as a tight end, I mean, you know, look at Travis Kelce. He's what, 33, 34? Like, I've seen a lot of really good tight ends play into their early 30s. They take care of their body. But you go back to 2020 and 2019, Darren Waller had over 1,100 receiving yards. And in 2020, he had 9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns. He was the number 2 fantasy wide receiver. So James sniped a rookie ticket auto. I know when the day the news dropped, he was quick on the trigger. Sniped one for $20, I believe. And you see one here that's sold to buy it now for 45, best offer accepted. So let's see what that went for. Do you think it went close to 45 or closer to 20? Do you think it's gone up that much?
There's still some respect on those prices. Okay.
Boom. Went for 40, man. So James theoretically has already doubled his value on the Darren Waller. I think you got to think that this is an ADP increase. Maybe the excitement tapers for Darren Waller, but presumably him healthy, him in a new offense with much better coaching. I like the opportunities that Daniel Bellinger got. Like Daniel Bellinger was becoming a real tight end streaming option last year, and he missed several games with he got his eye socket all jacked up, like got his eye poked out really bad. Was forced to miss some time from that, but even in 12 games, the guy still put up a couple touchdowns and almost 300 receiving yards. I mean, we could see a pretty big year from Darren Waller if he gets back to 100% health.
Yeah, we know that tight ends are a development position. You know, you don't come into the league and you're not the best you're going to be, usually for a couple of years. And from what I was reading, they think Bellinger is actually going to benefit from this acquisition as far as his development goes, and there's a lot less pressure on him to be, you know, that guy every drop back. So I think it is good long term for his value. And I mean, look at Dawson Knox turned into a great tight end from obscurity, essentially, under Daboll. So I think good things could be in the works.
Oh, buddy. All right. More running back news. The Patriots signed James Robinson, Damian Harris free agent. Patriots signed James Robinson to the stable for a 2-year, $8 million contract.
He's going to get work. I think that,
work.
You know, he looked like a shell of himself after the Achilles tear. But for those guys that have never dealt with that, that's a long road to full recovery. You can come back with limited pain, but as far as being able to change directions and that initial burst is just not there, usually till like the second year on those. So I do think that could be a nice addition to if he's the kind of guy that could just pick up right in the Damian Harris role right away.
Derek said, where did Ty Montgomery go? I feel like this is a trick question. He didn't go anywhere. Hey, speaking of running backs, Alexander Mattison re-signed by the Minnesota Vikings on a 2-year contract. This further stokes the fires for Dalvin Cook trade rumors. Guys, If you've been holding Dalvin Cook rookie cards since the boom, since 2020, 2021, this may be your shot. If they trade Dalvin Cook, just like when CMC was traded to the 49ers, wouldn't that be something if Dalvin Cook got traded to the Bills and he was playing with his little brother there in Buffalo?
Okay.
That would be, I think that would be a very interesting storyline. Get some hype there. If he gets traded, this is going to be the news story that you want to go ahead and sell those Dalvin Cook rookie cards. This is an aging running back on his decline, but it's not quite like he's cresting that age apex right now. Like, this is the news story you want to sell those Dalvin Cook rookie cards. He's going to be 28 this year. Now's the time to go ahead and sell those if this trade happens.
And I don't think wherever he goes, I don't think it necessarily affects his fantasy outlook. He's still top tier, not CMC top tier, but tier below that. And there's not a whole lot of guys that are in that range that can do what he can do. But Madison, on the flip side of that conversation, looks like he could slot into a bell cow role right away for Minnesota. And I know that's been like everyone's fantasy dream for the last 3 years, for something to happen to Cook and then them to have him stashed and start him. So if you're holding on to some Madison rookies too, now's the time to get them prepped, get them listed. That time could be coming, I think.
Yeah, check out this red rookie ticket auto, BGS 95 auto 10. Buy it now, sold $130. These are transactions from today. Horizontal select, dual color patch out of 49.
On the screen, Andy. Nothing on the screen.
No, nothing on the screen.
Nothing on the screen.
Thank you, sir,
there
for the. So I was talking about this red rookie ticket auto there. You've got this. I mean, these are all sold transactions from today. You got the horizontal select.
I like the purple.
Also, I remember when you could get these green Pulsar auto Madisons. I think I wrote them up in an Auction Sniper article, probably like November, December last year, for an investment for this upcoming free agency, the cycle we're in right now. And you can see the news story from yesterday has absolutely propelled Alexander Madison's rookie cards in an upward trajectory. So yeah, man, this is what we're looking for. This is some really good results so far. A lot of buy it now sold transactions in the past 24 hours for Alexander Madison.
Oh, dang, did you see that Spectra?
You love you some Spectra, don't you?
Out of 15. That went dirt cheap. That
because look at the patch, man. This is like a giant napkin patch in here.
Yeah, but it actually looks like a superfractor, Andy. Look at the surface.
Yeah, it does. It's got the X-Fractor design.
Now, I will say the white napkin patch has got to go, but one thing I love about Spectra is the colored ink autos.
Yeah, I will say that is unique. You don't see any other sets besides like Pen Pals, and some of the new Luminance Year 1 cards that have these different colored inks on the front of them, which it does give it a fairly unique look. I just realized that the Bears also signed Robert Tonyan from the Packers to a 1-year tight end contract. Do you realize that?
I did read that, but from what I was reading, they were just saying it's more for depth at this point.
So is Ezekiel Elliott, going back to running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, nobody's picked him up yet. Do you think that, I mean, obviously somebody's going to pick him up. Where do you think his contract will stack up? And do you think that, I mean, like, has his window to sell high on him closed?
That really depends on where he goes, because if he goes into another complementary role for a team, he's going to be stagnant or declining as far as his hobby value goes. But if someone's willing to roll him out there as a starter, even just the initial news of that, even if he can't hang on to the job, would be enough, especially if it's a big franchise, would be enough to keep him propped up.
His base rated rookie from 2016 is currently half that of Derrick Henry. Look at the difference in the prism. The Derrick Henry, wow, still holding strong. PSA 10 at a trend of $200 compared to the Ezekiel Elliott now at a trend of 45. Massive difference there. Massive difference in the optic as well. 4x difference there in the optic.
That's a big gap. I mean, Zeke, between injuries and just being less efficient, has dwindled, whereas Henry's seemingly not that affected by his current age situation. So, but you know what? He's another guy that they're rumored to be trading. So I guess we'll see.
So your boy David Montgomery signs with the Detroit Lions after Detroit dealt Jamal Williams to the Saints for a solid, I think it was a $12 million contract. The Lions signed David Montgomery. I really like this move for David Montgomery because, you know, Jamal Williams led the league last year in carries inside the 10-yard line and led the league in rushing touchdowns for running backs, which we know are the biggest contributors of fantasy points. David Montgomery, a 2019 rookie, like he's not the fastest guy, but he's got really good hands. He's got great vision. He's a grinder. They signed him to a 3-year, $18 million contract. So I can't help but to think, I mean, this suppresses DeAndre Swift's ADP further. And DeAndre Swift has struggled to stay healthy every single season. DeAndre Swift is very explosive. He can score from anywhere on the field, but he's not a bell cow running back. They know that. And now you bring in David Montgomery, who is an all-purpose back, and he's going to be the guy that's going to take that Jamal Williams work in those goal-to-go situations. I guarantee you he's going to be the Jamal Williams plus for the Lions behind one of the league's best offensive lines. I get excited for David Montgomery on this move. For me, I'm pushing DeAndre Swift down in ADP and in value. And David Montgomery for me is a guy that I think is going to have a big 2023 with the Lions.
Man, I'm always high on David Montgomery and still a fan, even though he's going to the rival squad here. But, man, I can't help but be excited to see what he can do behind that line because he pulled off some miracles despite getting hit in the backfield all the time here in Chicago. So, man, that's going to be pretty exciting. And they did actually come out and say, again, coach speak. You don't know how serious that's going to be going into the year. But coach speak right now is that Swift is going to be limited throughout the year. That's what they're saying.
Every time they've tried to give him a big role, it hasn't worked out. He's gotten hurt. And so, yeah, I think he's going to be very limited. He's going to be used selectively. And then when they do, it's like you don't necessarily need to throw it to Swift because you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got Jameson freaking Williams out there. You know, you've got some really good weapons on the perimeter. So you don't necessarily need to throw a screen pass to DeAndre Swift. And you know, how many times did we see like Amon-Ra St. Brown or where it was DJ Chark last year or TJ Hawkinson when he was still there, you know, take it down to the goal line, then Jamal Williams drive it in, you know? So I could see a lot of David Montgomery touchdowns this year and some big runs, and the Lions are an ascending team. I think you're secretly a closet Lions fan, Steve.
Maybe.
Outside of the Bears.
Yeah, no, I think I've become a believer even before maybe some actual Detroit fans have. And hey, man, there's nothing to be ashamed of being excited about a young football team that no one was given a chance, you know, kind of proving everyone right when they flourished. And now I think that a lot more people are aware of what they're capable of. I think that that's their division to lose, at least this next year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Speaking of running backs, again, the latest news on Joe Mixon. The Cincinnati Enquirer reports no charges have been filed in the alleged shooting in Joe Mixon's neighborhood, and Mixon hasn't been listed as a suspect. But Mixon was he's due a $12.8 million cap hit. Mixon has been rumored a cap casualty for the Bengals. And I think that a perfect landing spot for one Austin Eckler, who is struggling right now to negotiate a long-term deal with his team over in LA, is the Bengals. I would love to see Austin Eckler go to Cincinnati. I would love that move to happen.
Man.
I think it would be a fantastic landing spot.
Name one team that doesn't get exponentially better by just signing Austin Eckler. I mean, that guy can do everything on offense.
Yeah.
He's a receiver. He's a runner. I mean, he's even more of a receiver than he is a runner. He's just a smart football player. I think a guy that doesn't get enough credit.
No, you're right. He really doesn't. And just for being undersized, I mean, the guy is so good. He always finds a way to get yards after contact, just like David Montgomery. I mean, he's just a thick, like maybe be shorter, but I mean, all that bull riding, all that time living on the ranch, man. Austin Eckler is a stud, and he's got very few rookie cards. He's literally got like 20 or 30. It's like the select or the rookie ticket auto. And that's really it.
Eckler to Cincy would be just absolutely crazy, man.
All right, so outside of DJ Moore to the Bears, the other major wide receiver storyline this week has been Juju Smith-Schuster, signed by the Patriots, who have been looking. They've been looking at DeAndre Hopkins. They're looking at a few different receivers. I think I heard Shark, linked to them, and they get Juju Smith-Schuster, who was of the Chiefs this past year. They signed him for a 3-year, $25.5 million contract. Is worth up to $33 million, but the base value is obviously far less than that. The Pats lost Jacoby Myers to a nearly identical contract from the Raiders earlier this week. Smith-Schuster will be a natural replacement for Myers, who soaked up targets over the middle of the field and played both slot and outside receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster last year had just over 100 targets, 933 yards, and 3 touchdowns, with an average yards per reception of 12. Let's see. He also had the 9th best route win rate, which is pretty impressive. And he was 10th amongst wide receivers in EPA, or expected points added. That measures the value of identical plays by calculating their contribution to points generated on the scoreboard based on down, distance, field position, and game situation before and after the play. So it kind of gives you an idea of how good he was compared to his contemporaries. So, yeah, very, very solid. So the big contract, and let's take a look at the Juju Smith-Schuster market here. Do you like that move? How do you feel about that, Steve?
I don't know. Anytime a receiver goes to the Patriots, I get a little bit worrisome about their long-term prospects, because we've seen the likes of a lot of guys go there and not flourish like they did with different organizations. But I mean, he fits what they need. Probably didn't cost them a ton of money. The thing that's interesting to me is I'm still not convinced that they know who's going to be playing QB there this year. There was tons of Mac Jones trade rumors. I guess we'll see. But as far as the Juju trade goes, I think he's above average. He's not a superstar anymore, but he's a guy that can make plays for your team, and that's really what they need.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to pull up. All right, so definitely a much bigger collection base now, right? I mean, a lot more fans. And yeah, there's the stigmatism around the Patriots ruining wide receivers' careers. We'll see. I mean, Jacoby Myers has been an ascending wide receiver in the league, except for that one game the end of that one game he wished he could take back last season. But look at some of these sold items here for Juju, man. I mean, pretty impressive here. These optic hollows from 2017 are so popular, man. Such an attractive looking card, portrait style photo, massive rated rookie logo there, which is very iconic. Got those on card autographs, got serial numbers on the back. Love those 2017 optic hollows, and love the 2017 Prism as well. That's a big card. Look at Juju's collegiate card getting some love. Big college program there, man, for USC. So that Prism right there, I mean, that's a good deal, because if you go in base, then you want to get in that PSA 10 slab. It's exactly what this person did for $35 in an auction yesterday. I feel like that has some pretty good upside. Let's pull them up in the Keep 'em app, Steve.
I will say this, as far as players that play for the Patriots, it's the same premise as guys that play for the Bears. Like, there's a huge market for any player on that team, especially skill position guys. And when I had some JC Jackson rookies, when I had other various Patriot rookies that I sold, like, they moved really quickly because there's a huge market for those guys. So not too shocked. I think people will have high hopes for the guy. Hopefully he can deliver for them, but I think the biggest splash will be, at least right now, and that's usually the most common trend we see with these things.
Yeah, you can see some of these buy it nows that have gone as high as 65. And I think that's one of the key things that we try and do here is try and snipe in auction, try and get them in auction low, reverse engineer. You see the buy it nows going for 60, 70. You see the auction coming up right here. Where was it? The PSA 10 Prism ended for, I lost it already. I don't know how I did that, but maybe it's up here. Just trying to be all slick about it. There it is, $35. You just reverse engineer. You put in your max bid at $36.79 or whatever. You win it at $35. You get it at the house for $40. You've got $20, $30 upside in that card right off the bat. It's not like, there's just a million of them floating around. It's only got a pop of 497, And look at what the buy it now is going for 60, 70. So that's just one example. That's a prime example of how you can reverse engineer what the buy it nows are going for and look for those in auction at a much lower price.
I know it's still seeming like it's on the table, but some might say it's a long shot. I've been saying for a while, I think that Lamar could end up over there. I mean, I think you'd have a second wave of Juju hype if something like that were to get announced. I don't necessarily know that would necessarily make his output any better, but it would surely, fan the flames a bit more.
Yeah. So I want to make a big announcement here for the channel. Got a lot of stuff going on. Definitely start up some stuff. Let's see. What is James saying here? 3 minutes on this 2019 Illusions, Irv Smith Jr. and Alexander Madison dual RPA out of 10. Super rare. Let's pull that up. The dual cards are interesting. Both of those guys still in the Vikings, though. Interesting. Irv he's buried on the depth chart now behind TJ Hawkinson. But I like the Alexander I like the scarcity on this thing.
Well, Irv's another guy that I think it's in the cards. He's going to end up somewhere else. So you could get a double splash out of that card, maybe.
Double splash. Yeah, I'm always a little bit less inclined to go for the dual auto. But if the timing's right, the scarcity's right, come on. What's going on here? It does not want to.
I took since you're looking that up real quick, I'll show. I don't often dual auto myself, but two guys that could be maybe making a splash at the same time. We talked about these guys last week. I'll throw this up in front of the camera. Gotta go backwards here. Little Kyle and Kyle. Double auto on here.
Oh, let me blow you up on the big screen while I try and figure out where this listing's at.
Got a Pitts and Trask. Double RPA.
Nice, man.
Timing could be right on that one. Time will tell. Auto pick handy.
My dude, I can't. It won't let me click on auction. This is some kind of look. It'll let me click on accepted, buy it now, everything. But when I go to auction, it does nothing. It doesn't show up with a little finger.
Oh, he said it. He said it's already ended, I guess.
Well, I don't know. eBay's messing with me right now. So, anyways, but yeah. So we got some box breaks coming up on the channel, and okay. So the first one is the one from the Card Shop Live. Still got that, guys. Literally, just like publicly want to apologize to everybody for not creating as many videos as I'm used to making on a daily basis. I've literally been working 60 hours a week at my day job. So like one of the biggest projects ever in our company history. So it's just the timing of it is right now is just crippling me to create content. So I will be through it probably sometime towards the end of April. And so I'm really looking forward to getting back to creating more like daily content. But we do have a bunch of giveaways coming up. This one's from the Card Shop Live 2022 Donruss Hobby Box. We're going to be breaking. We're going to be giving this entire box away to one person. I've got the list ready to go. That'll be coming any day now. And then what I just ordered was a box of 2022 Bowman Chrome University. One of them is for Derek Richard. I'm going to rip a box for him live on the channel and then send him all the cards. And then the other one is going to be a giveaway. Anybody in the Patreon community is going to be entered into the giveaway. The regular premier level members get one entry. That's the $6 a month tier. And on all our tiers, you get access to all the additional content, the Discord, the article that I release on a weekly basis. And you'll get one entry into the giveaway. The field level members get 3 entries. The club level members get 2. So I'm going to pull all that. I'm going to give away the entire hobby box plus some other cards to you guys here really soon. Can't thank you guys enough for all your support, because if I didn't have the obligation to you guys to continue to do this research on nights and weekends, and man, I'm just working so much right now that I probably wouldn't do it. So it's because of you guys that I'm here right now. You, Steve, Carter, all you guys out there in the chat. So I want to just give you a little token of my gratitude, and looking forward to it. So plus we're going to be doing, we got our dynasty rookie drafts coming up after the draft. We're going to be probably spinning up a couple new dynasty leagues this off season, probably a couple new seasonal long leagues. And these are all going to be for patron only. These are going to be patron only leagues. So looking forward to those as well. A lot of fun. Best ball, Steve, can't wait to get into some best ball over on Underdog Fantasy. We're still partnered with Underdog Fantasy, by the way, and I can't wait to get into a lot more Underdog streams and live drafting and all that kind of good stuff, Steve.
Yeah, man, I've got my best ball winnings from last year, just waiting to be reinvested in this year and see where we can go. I know Derek got about a round further than I did. I don't know how many rounds there was exactly, but I got far enough to make my money back and a little bit extra. So ready to do it again for sure. And I know that, Andy, I know you're a busy guy. I'm in the same boat where I'm just working, sleeping, maybe finding a couple minutes here and there to do a few things that involve rest and relaxation, maybe. And, the chat, I'm sure, does. Everyone in the Discord does. Myself, we appreciate what you do. And I think it goes without saying that you're a hardworking guy. And despite being tired, man, I myself look forward to doing this every week with you. And I'm happy to keep it going forward.
Wow, man, we got some great questions here in the chat. I want to go up. Really appreciate that, Halos. Purdy won't be ready week 1. So, yeah, this first one is from Victor earlier in the chat. Is Trey Lance rookie? Wait, question for Andy and Steve. Is the Trey Lance rookie My House Optic football 15 out of 15 for $50 a good buy? My House Optic. Have you seen this card, Steve? I'm going to have to pull this up.
Yeah, no, I that's the thing is I know I'm just echoing what everyone else said. It is very high risk, high reward, but he's essentially like in a 3-way QB battle, like not by choice, but because of the injury. Sam Purdy got a chance to shine. Now all of a sudden people have seen what he can do, and now there's a chance that neither of these guys are ready to start the season, and you might actually have like a Sam Darnold, maybe candle lighting, maybe he actually plays most of the season. It's hard to say.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this card specifically is it's an insert, right? So inserts, it doesn't have the rated rookie logo. Does it even have the... It's a cool looking card, so it does have some collection appeal, but there's multiple variations of the insert, and the insert's not well known, right? It's not a Kaboom, it's not a Downtown, it's not even like a Gridiron Kings or a Pen Pals or a Passports. It's none of those. It's not a super well known. In fact, this is the first time that I'm actually like really looking into the My House insert. So I'll tell you that stuff right out the bat is going to take away from it. It is a pretty cool looking card, but it doesn't even have a rookie card logo. There's no RC Shield on it, and this is a 2021 card. So for me, I would say $50. Yeah, I like the scarcity, that serial number out of 15, Steve, but
my advice is watch that out of 25, and that'll give you an idea of what the value of that 15 is. So,
oh, this is a die cut too with like some sparkles in the background. That's interesting. But yeah, watch this one because it does have 10 bids. Okay, so I am seeing there is some desirability for it. It's not like it's just gonna, not be worth anything.
It's an optic product. People are gonna want it. My House is not, like Andy said, it's not the premier, most sought after insert, but it's an optic product. It is a rookie. Trey Lance still has a lot of hype, not as much as he had before, but everyone knows that the closer we get to the start of the year, that QB discussion is going to be fired up, and if he gets anointed the guy, you know what's going to happen.
I think it's a decent card at best for me, but I don't know. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts if you guys like that design. I think it does look kind of cool, so it says some interesting eye appeal, but yeah, watch that one auction, see what it goes for. Jamie says, good to be here as always. Great content. Appreciate that. He picked up 3 9.5 2007 Topps Finest Adrian Peterson rookie cards not long ago in a lot. 3 9.5. Wow, man. Go AP.
I love that set, man. And Andy, I don't know if you remember that design or not, but Topps Finest is really kind of where a lot of us kind of fell in love with cards, and that's just such a classic card, man.
Yeah, 2007 Topps Finest right there. That is a really cool card. I love the massive rookie card shields that they used to put on those Topps cards from the late 2000s, and the Topps Finest was nice. Look at that. Look at that. Very nice card.
I dig it, man. Congrats.
Yeah, very nice. Card Vibe said Sam Darnold is cheap, and if he starts or has a good preseason, for the 49ers. And I saw someone else earlier mention they wondered if Christian McCaffrey had some kind of say in that. It's interesting, right? Because we don't think Brock Purdy may not be ready. He just comes off of elbow surgery. And then Trey Lance, is he going to be ready? Because he like broke the crap out of his ankle last year.
I mean, in the most realistic scenario, Darnold probably either starts the season or goes into camp in a quarterback battle with just Trey Lance, because Purdy may miss the start of the year. What did we say about Darnold last year? Is his output is directly hinged on, he's not a superstar, but he has amazing games when he's on the field with talent, right? The Niners are no short of talent, man, and they have a great line. I think it's actually a pretty intriguing situation that we have here. This is kind of one of those like where you put your favorite quarterback on a really good team in Madden just to see what they would do for a season. This is kind of one of those plays where I think it'd be cool, man. I just think it'd be cool to see what he can do as a starter there.
Well, in 21 minutes, there's a rookie ticket auto of Sam Darnold that's currently at $31. I guarantee you, if you comp that out, of course, that's going to be like a $3,000 card for Josh Allen. But I would say, like, what is it for Mike White? What is it for Baker Mayfield right now from 2018? Look at some of these guys, some of those guys from 2018. Actually, those would be like perfect comparisons to look at, because I think that you're right. I mean, if Lance isn't ready, if Purdy's not ready, they can easily roll Sam Darnold. I mean, they could roll a lot of guys out there and they look halfway decent. And Sam Darnold has definitely flashed before. And you can already see just in the graded card activity. I mean, it was started out super low, but look, it's already up 25% on his Prism, 12% on the rated rookie. Look at these percentages up across the board, man. So
I like it. I have one of those.
Yeah, we talked about this compared to DJ Moore. Look, it's only a 34 on the PSA 10, 8 on the 9s. Over an auction, here you go, auction that ended February 15th for $60.
Wow.
Traded on a bridge / backup QB deal to the Niners, 175, baby. That's almost a triple up. There's no other market you could do that. I mean, that's a fantastic flip right there. Like someone smashed it, man. Someone really, really smashed that right there.
We live in a unique timeline, man, where you could see a first outstanding season from Darnold if they give him the ball and let him run with it, man. He had that 5-6 game stretch before McCaffrey got hurt. What was that, a year ago, 2 years ago? I can't recall, 2 years ago maybe. And, unfortunately after that, things never really came back to fruition, but that's not that team. This team is much better, so I guess we'll see what can happen. At the very least, I'm intrigued by it. Yeah,
and these 2018 rookie ticket autos aren't super common. The supply on those can get pretty scarce pretty quick. In fact, I'm looking at the sold listings for 2018 Sam Darnold rookie ticket auto, and the last one's a Silver Prism PSA 10 on February 15th. Again, someone buying them back then before this period absolutely smashed it with some of these deals. We've got one now that's a base at 31. This one's at 25.89. But let's go and look real quick at what the Baker Mayfield have recently sold for. Of course, Baker Mayfield's going to have larger supply. It's not going to be much because they're both drafted early first round draft capital. And Panini prints based on draft capital. But look at this, March 4th, auction base, $86. 89, Feb 19th, 81. The most recent one was a best offer accepted for a silver here today that didn't go for 100. You'd have to go and search this on 130 point because it was an auction that had that best offer accepted button lit up and someone went ahead and made the offer and took it down, What do you think this one went for?
What was it listed as, 100?
Well, it was the auction. So it actually did go for 100. The best offer was accepted at 100. But that's not always the case.
Man,
And that's a 9. So I don't know. If you can get the Darnold we were just looking at for, like, let's go back to it. I'd say, like, my max bid on this, if I can get it for under $50, I mean, I feel very good about there at least being like $30 to $50 upside there. I mean, the 49ers are contenders. So
I think it's interesting that when you saw a lot of the sold data, that Mayfield in some cases was like 3 times the value. That's pretty mind-boggling to me. If you're thinking about like purely speculative as a flip, you know, you maybe want to think about, like, if you could buy 3 of them for the same price as one Mayfield, that's potentially a better investment.
Yeah, 49ers, dude. I'll tell you what, man, set your expectations low for the Buccaneers in 2023. But for the 49ers, no, your expectations should be sky high for the team as a whole. And, hey, Darnold may start in September. And it's September and then the playoffs. That's when you want to, that's going to be your best time to flip the majority of your players, right? In the middle of the season, in the, what's that word I'm looking for? Like the trenches, like the trenches of November when they're battling it out in week 8, 10, 12, after there's been ACL tears and injuries and players that have just totally fallen flat on their faces, you know, and it's like, you know, certain people are what we thought they are. Other ones are not at all. That's when you want to probably, you know, buy. That's not a good time to be selling. The guys that are going to have gone up in price at that point are going to be the front runners for MVP, the front runners for those other awards in those categories, you know, your elites and the guys that are on, you know, semi undefeated teams, you know, top power rankings. Everybody else is going to go down in value during that time period heading into the holidays, and then the playoffs. And the playoffs are a big ascension, and now we're in another ascension hype cycle heading into the draft. I'm going to place a bid on this card, Steve. What do you think? I never thought I'd buy more Sam Darnold after I sold it. Last time.
No one's saying go out and spend your mortgage money on it, but it's a very intriguing speculative play. There's no doubt about it.
I blame it on Kyle Shanahan, man. He gets me every time. He convinced me. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan convinced me to buy Trey Lance cards. I literally spent more than this on a non-autographed Trey Lance card. Like,
I tried to warn you.
Total fish play. And but it's okay. It's okay. I got a long time to hold that thing. But eventually I'm gonna break even on it. That's what I'm gonna do, Steve.
No, that's what I was just gonna get at too. I think a lot of people forget that, especially with the younger guys, like the window. The window isn't one season. It's not 2 seasons. I mean, Trey Lance is 22 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Derek said this is a better buy than that Sam Howell silver prism for 400.
It is.
I love this. He cracks me up, dude, with some of the stuff he says. How do we make Trey Lance look like a star? Bring in Darnold.
You know what's interesting though is if Darnold plays lights out, then you say to yourself, is Brock Purdy that good? Or did he just look good in the Niners system? Me?
Let's see. Yeah, no, it's a great point. Put Brock Purdy in Tampa Bay and see who plays better between him, Baker Mayfield, and Kyle Trask. I don't know, man. I mean, look, we've got great weapons, but our offensive line has taken a big downgrade, and I'm not a fan of our coaching. I'm not excited about this at all.
No, the coaching I think was the big problem last year, and sadly they didn't do a lot to shake things up over there.
I did it. I made an attempt to snipe that. We'll see if we get it.
Samson.
Here's another one though. 40 minutes. If you want a base card, like I said, get PSA 10, right, Steve?
Yeah, no,
40 minutes
absolutely.
left.
Especially, in sets like that not have small print runs, but small in comparison to, 4 or 5 years later and what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, I think it's actually one of his cooler photos too. He doesn't look like I'm not a fan of the what's the base Donruss? Yeah, this one right here. He just looks like a goofball in this one. The one with his helmet off.
Cool though.
Yeah, the optic one is pretty cool. Yeah. He looks more like a leader, like a general or something there. But I like that one. I like the optic one. This one's kind of cool though. This one really reminds me of Sam Darnold. This thing, whatever he's doing here. It's almost like it reminds me of like the Mark Sanchez butt fumble is about to happen. I don't know why I've always. Man, I am talking bad about former Jets quarterbacks, and the Jets are getting ready to get the biggest quarterback upgrade since like Joe Namath, huh? Or since Brett Favre. Since Brett Favre, man, history is repeating itself, Steve.
So yeah, that what that means is that he'll go have a couple admirable seasons there and then retire with the Vikings.
There you go. He'll be 44 and throwing touchdown passes in the final seconds of the game with the Vikings. No, I don't think Rodgers is
in the twilight years or latter years of Justin Jefferson's career. He'll be throwing tutties over there.
What if I just wasted my money on that Sam Darnold and because Tom Brady's actually coming back to play in 2023 for the 49ers?
Well, then they have 4 quarterbacks, and someone's got to go, right? And it probably won't be Darnold because they just signed them.
Are Jets fans getting excited about Aaron Rodgers? This is a little uptick here, man. Little uptick in the trend.
I'll tell you what. This in around here, believe it or not, there's quite a bit of Packer fans too, and even the Packer fans are happy for Aaron Rodgers to go and do what he can do over there. And they're actually seemingly more excited for Rodgers to go to the Jets than they are of Jordan Love to start, at least for now. And,
they're pumped for Jordan Love. I mean, look at those percentages
a lot of
up
Bears
across the board
around here that are mourning the departure of Montgomery, and but we're all excited to see what he's going to do over there. I know I'll be taking him in the best ball leagues for sure.
All right, what else did I miss? So look, yep, I hit on all those. The quarterback market roundup. We talked about Derek Carr to the Saints, Jimmy G to the Raiders. It wasn't officially announced today. Rumors were that he didn't pass his physical. So that's an interesting scenario. I want to see what his graded market is like because from 20. So this is an interesting one. You could do a Derek Carr, Jimmy G comparison here because from the same draft class. Jimmy G, half of the values of Derek Carr on average. Come on, Vegas Dave. You got to get out there and get you a Jimmy G collection going, man. There's the prisms. The prisms actually closer in value let's see what the population. And also there's multiple photo variations, so this is a little challenging, but 388 on that versus the Jimmy G. 475.
Some of the Carr photo variations are actually pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got like literally 4 different photo variations, which was normal from the 2014 Prism. I'm not crazy the fact they did this because I tried to collect all of the Mike Evans Silver Prism photo variations, and I've got like 3 of them. But then I went to tcdb.com and found out there's actually 6 photo variations. I'm like, holy crap.
I think at one point I had like 3 of the 4 Mike Evans, and I was just like, it's a lot to keep up with, man. There's a lot of photo variations.
Yeah.
That was the thing that was the thing before all these different parallels. You know what I mean? That it was more about photo variations before, especially with tops, more so than Prism.
We hit on Brissett to the Commanders, Heineke to the Falcons, Andy Dalton to the Panthers. I didn't mention that, but Andy Dalton is the new backup quarterback, or presumably he's right now the starter. I mean, for the Panthers, because sure as heck ain't going to be Matt Corral, right? Sam Darnold, 49ers. We hit on that. Minshew Mania to the Colts. We're loving that. Jared Stidham to the Broncos. So with Jimmy G to the Raiders, Jared Stidham now goes to the Broncos, backup for Russell Wilson. Mike White to the Dolphins, which actually Carter had a super sneaky play earlier in the week, Steve, on Mike White because of the fragility around Tua. If Tua goes down, the Mike White mania hype train could absolutely spike with all those weapons and that dynamic offense down there in Miami.
He's got a point. He's definitely got a point. The other side of that is he plays through a season without any major injuries, and nothing comes of it. But as a speculative play, it is a good speculative play.
Yep. PJ Walker, we mentioned he went to the Bears. Case Keenum went to the Texans. So they bring in some veteran backup bridge quarterback there. And Kyle Allen went to the Bills. So Kyle Allen's now the backup for Josh Allen. The guys that are still available. Lamar Jackson is on a non-exclusive franchise tag. He is talking to teams. I just don't know if anybody's going to be able to afford him at this point. He may end up sticking with the Ravens. Carson Wentz is a free agent. Not sure anybody wants him anymore. Marcus Mariota, not sure. I'm sure these guys are going to land somewhere as a backup, but Marcus Mariota's out there. Matt Ryan is now officially out there. He was released, I think it was earlier today. I'm not sure if he's going to retire. I mean, I know he doesn't want to go out like this, but jeez, man, probably best to retire at this time, Matty Ice. Teddy Bridgewater's free agent. Mason Rudolph, free agent. Cooper Rush, who actually played pretty well for the Cowboys last year. Drew Lock. Actually, I think Drew Lock maybe re-signed with the Seahawks. If maybe that may have happened just earlier today.
Yeah, that happened today.
Joe Flacco's still kicking it out there. I mean, honestly, I think Joe Flacco is better than Matt Ryan at this point, and they're about the same age. Joshua Dobbs, who stepped in admirably for the Titans, even though it didn't work out. I mean, he's smart. He's one of the, like, in the Wonderlic score. Josh Dobbs has got a pretty high ranking there, but he's just a backup platoon guy. Chase Daniel, Nathan Peterman, Trace McSorley. That's the rest of the list there for QBs.
The Lamar thing is, I still think he goes somewhere else, but he's going to have to drop his asking price. It's just, he's talking about getting like blacklisted. He blacklisted himself with that asking price. Realistically, I mean, I get it that Deshaun Watson got a stupid contract, right? But just because one team screwed up, that doesn't set the bar for everyone else to overspend,
Yeah. And then we talked about the running back market big tonight. David Montgomery to Lions. Love that. Jamal Williams to the Saints. And we don't know yet if Alvin Kamara is going to be suspended at all. But I think this is a good role for Jamal Williams with the Saints. Miles Sanders to the Panthers with Rashad Penny to the Eagles.
Ooh.
So
right.
that was another move we mentioned. I really like this for Rashad Penny. Honestly, if Rashad Penny could stay healthy for one season in his life, the guy is so explosive. He's such a good running back going all the way back to San Diego State. The guy had better college numbers than like Barry Sanders. If I remember correctly, there was statistics floating around that Rashad Penny at San Diego State was just an absolute monster. He just has not been able to stay healthy. But when he did stay healthy down the stretch, not last year, the year before last year in 2021, The guy tore it up. Like the guy, it was insane how many
He had
breakaway
like a
runs he had.
monumental 6-game stretch before.
Yeah. I mean, if he could just stay healthy, and the Eagles have one of the best run games in the league, if not the best, and one of the best offensive lines, if not the best. I mean, so freaking Rashad Penny, get your butt healthy, because you could
Go do some yoga.
You could be a force, man. Could be a force to be reckoned with if he could ever stay healthy. Samaje Perine went to the Broncos. So that opens up some more depth chart space for the Bengals to do something. And I like Chris Evans there as a receiving back. We'll see what happens with Joe Mixon. Travis Homer went to the Bears, and then Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and Myles Gaskin all re-signed by the Dolphins. And then we talked about Alexander Mattison re-signed by the Vikings. Kareem Hunt still a free agent. Deonta Foreman, well, we talked about him earlier, which, I mean, that's a pretty good move for you. Jerick McKinnon, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, and Leonard Fournette is still a free agent. Leonard Fournette is one name that's popping off on me that's still a free agent. People aren't too happy with his film from last year and his shape and everything.
Yeah, man. We talked a lot about his training camp and how he looked overweight, and he played it off as, I'll lose all that weight before week 1, blah blah blah. And I don't think it ever happened. I think that he got paid, and we see it all the time. A guy gets paid the big contract and then just takes it for granted. A lot of people are speculating Eckler maybe getting traded and then Fournette ending up there, which is a great landing spot for him if he can get back in the gym, get back into shape, play like he played, a year and a half ago. That'll be a great landing spot for him. But honestly, conditioning is a pretty big deal when you play running back.
The last time the Jets played on Sunday Night Football was in 2012. 2012, Steve. Well, when you sign Aaron Rodgers, that changes things, man. That changes things, doesn't it?
I know some people were speculating about, the Lazard signing as like, oh no, what's going to happen to, the other receivers there? What's going to happen to their target share, Elijah Moore and these other guys? Like, Brett Favre's your quarterback. There'll be enough to go around. Lazard had maybe 700 yards last year. I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Halo's Finest said, how do you guys feel about John Mechie? I actually really like this. This guy was a really good slot receiver at Alabama. He's recovering from cancer. He's in remission. He's going to actually start his rookie season this year. And he was the wide receiver, one of the main wide receivers. It was a loaded depth chart at Alabama, right? It always is at wide receiver, but for Bryce Young, and the Texans are projected to draft Bryce Young. So, I mean, I think it makes sense that John Mechie's hype, his excitement, his stock, everything goes up heading into 2023. So I like John Mechie as a guy that could absolutely garner close to a 20% target share in that offense. He could slot right in and kind of be like the Texans' Amon-Ra St. Brown, man.
I think the thing that's cool about him, aside from his cool recovery story and the potential of him linking up with his college quarterback, I think the biggest part of the story is something that we see in the hobby a lot, and that's guys that had little to no expectations that potentially make a big splash, and those are where you see the biggest hype spikes for guys that were not on the radar and all of a sudden, are flashing right dead center. So it does make an interesting play because, everyone's are talking about all the same guys from the previous class, and you don't really have people going out saying, hey, go buy John Mechie, or hey, I'm buying a Mechie jersey, or hey, I'm, whatever. He's like the odd man out. He comes in and has a couple big games to start the season. You skyrocket him up the charts, from a forgotten name from last year to like maybe one of the most targeted guys from that season.
2022, John. And the other thing, like, you know, when it comes to the cards, I mean, this is a guy that's probably going to have a fantasy ADP like in the double-digit rounds, you know. And looking at his cards, I was trying to see if they actually has like a prism out for him. But let me just filter by auto then, because he's definitely a guy that I want to look at his rookie autos. And I want to try and find something that's got some pretty good scarcity, because his cards are going to be cheap, man. His market's going to be very cheap. I think you got to look at him like a sleeper right now. You know, he is an early second round draft pick, though, like we mentioned, and was able to, in that loaded depth chart at Alabama, was able to earn a 23% target share in 2021 that he converted into 1,100 receiving yards, 72% catch rate, and 8 receiving touchdowns. So, yeah, man, he's got some real good potential, especially with Bryce Young having that chemistry. I'm not seeing any prisms out yet, which is interesting. Maybe they just haven't found their way out yet. But he didn't play at all because of the cancer treatments and everything. So, you know, maybe Panini didn't print him as much, which is interesting. I'd definitely be looking for some nice autograph stuff. It's all very cheap. So yeah, solid play, in my opinion.
It's interesting though. We're in March here, Andy, and we're still talking about there's players that have cards that are still just coming out from the previous season.
Right?
With what? How many sets are left still? There's quite a few left still.
Yeah, quite a few. All right, so let's see. Just one round here. Speed, yeah, it's fast. Public versus PFE, yeah, okay. Whatever. Select your teams. Yeah, select all of them. I want to control the entire league, right? So the Panthers probably okay. Let's start the draft. The Panthers. The consensus is right now they pick CJ Stroud, so he goes to them. The Texans need a bunch of stuff, but I think they go with Bryce Young. He's their number 2 overall pick, right? It makes sense. Such a highly graded prospect from Alabama. So the Cardinals need everything. I think the Cardinals, you know, with the retirement of JJ Watt, I mean, maybe they just go ahead and go with the edge rusher. They probably go with like Will Anderson Jr. or something, you know. I think the Cardinals go and build in the trenches. They probably get themselves an edge rusher. The Colts now with signing. This is interesting with the Colts at number 4. Do the Colts go trenches defense, or do they go quarterback? You know, I think that's what, and that's why, you know, Gardner Minshew definitely comes with a little bit of risk, because I think if they draft a guy like Will Levis, Anthony Richardson's got that incredible athleticism, breaking all those records at the combine, man. Burst, explosiveness, broad jump, high jump, 40-yard dash. I mean, this guy's a freak athlete, dude. His stock has gone up so much.
Number 1 hand size.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's like, you know, polar opposite of Kenny Pickett, right?
That'd be a unique card insert.
I don't think maybe they go with a replacement for Stephon Gilmore. You know,
I think Seattle takes Witherspoon. They love their defensive backs out there.
So what do? Maybe they go with the guy on the D line. I have to go with analysis for the Colts. The Colts fans, 91% right now are saying quarterback. Well, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are going to be there, so it could be Will Levis. Or they could move back. I mean, so the Colts are definitely an interesting one at 5. I don't really know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Levis.
James thinks they trade number 4.
The consensus on his combine was that it was pretty bad, whereas Richardson seemed like people were saying, "Man, what if he went and won?" People are so excited about him, you know. So that's actually the kind of stuff that makes the draft more interesting, because when it's too predictable, you know, that's no fun. We want to see guys pop up the board and have some people reach for guys. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that's their biggest need. I don't think that Gardner Minshew, I love him, man, and I think he can ball out, but I don't think they're going to be content with just him battling it out with who? Sam Ellinger. I don't think that's going to be the story there. I think they're going to draft somebody, and it's going to be a competition between Gardner Minshew, because they know that he can play in the NFL. He can run an NFL offense. He's got experience now with their coach, the head coach, who's the former offensive coordinator from the Eagles, right? So it's like there's that whole chemistry and experience there. So they draft a rookie. If the rookie's not ready, then they roll out Gardner Minshew. It's kind of like the plan in my head. The question is, which rookie do they draft? Do they go with the elite athleticism in Anthony Richardson, or do they go with like, I guess Will Levis? I've heard him comp to like the poor man's Josh Allen, kind of like the common man's Josh Allen, like with his size and everything.
I feel like, I don't know, if they need a line too, and they just sign Minshew. Like, this isn't the last year of college football. Like, why not take a lineman while you have a high draft position and get the best guy? If you think that guy is warranted of a top 10 pick, grab the lineman, roll Minshew out, and then you got Minshew that's, you know, more than serviceable for 2-3 years, and wait for the next good QB and roll out and get that guy.
Maybe they just go Levis. I mean, look, guy's got a cannon for an arm. Apparently, big arm, downfield passer, big guy, 6'3", 232. That's why people were comparing him to Josh Allen. So for this, we'll just go ahead and say they go QB. You think Seattle? Obviously, they're very content, happy with Geno Smith. They go defense, say projecting them to go build in the defensive secondary there with Devon Witherspoon from Illinois. Now, the Lions are on the clock at pick 6. Now, this is interesting. Do the Lions dabble in the QB market, or are they content with Jared Goff? I know everybody said don't scoff at Goff. You got Bob out there, big Goff collector, Goff fan. You're a big Goff investor and collector as well, Steve. I've got a couple Goff cards. Do the Lions finally go quarterback here, or they go defense? They desperately need defense.
I think they find a complement to Hutchinson on the other side of the line. I mean, they are scary good if they have another guy like that on the other side.
Well, they should get this dude here from Georgia with like the best defense in college football history, basically. I mean, this guy is off the chart. Look at this guy's grades off the charts, and it's just gotten better and better.
The other thing I could see happening, Andy, is if Seattle takes Jalen Carter, I could see them taking the defensive back too, because that's an area that they really, really needed help in.
Yeah. So you got some guys here. Let's say they go defense. And maybe they don't go line. Maybe they go defensive secondary.
Andy, I think don't quote me on this. Was Jalen Carter the guy that was involved in some kind of DUI thing recently? He wasn't himself driving, but I can't recall. Might not be the same guy.
I don't know.
Maybe the chat knows.
And then you got the Raiders picking up Jimmy G. Looks like he will start there. I don't think they could draft a quarterback. Would you be shocked if? I think the Raiders really need help on defense, man. They need help on defense. I'm gonna say they draft a they draft a DB there. Let's say they take that dude from Oregon. And then the Falcons, would you be shocked if the Falcons drafted a quarterback after getting Desmond Ridder in the third round? I mean, here's your guy, Anthony Richardson. If this shakes out the way we're mock drafting, which is not, we haven't done anything crazy here. Nobody's moved back though yet, which somebody could very well move up to get this guy, to get this cat. You know what I'm saying?
You know, Anthony Richardson would be pretty exciting to go to that team. That kind of fits that Kyle Pitts discussion we talked about a few weeks ago. And then that presents another interesting situation at pick 9, which is a discussion I've been having around here lately. And that's that some people seem to think that Jackson Smith-Njigba goes to the Bears at that pick. And then you'd have the Justin Fields, Jackson Smith connection.
Interesting.
If Anthony Richardson doesn't go to the Falcons, then you got to ask yourself, where does he go? He's almost assuredly to go to the Titans or well, I guess he would go to the Titans almost for sure at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if the Jets don't land Rodgers,
pass on that guy if he comes to you.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders are sitting here too. They could potentially move up to grab this quarterback. I mean, it's not just Anthony Richardson though, but like Hendon Hooker's sitting there. Derek says Hendon Hooker's got he says he's got the Lions written all over him. Look at this. Tanner McKee, Stanford, Aiden O'Connell, Purdue, Stetson Bennett from Georgia, who's very pro ready. I mean, it's a pretty deep quarterback class this year. But I definitely think 3 out of these 5 guys, maybe 4, are potentially going to be going in the top 10, 15 picks. Some of these teams moving up to get them.
I don't know how connected Pat McAfee is still with the Colts, but he's been vocal about them taking Richardson. So if he makes it past the Colts, I'd be pretty shocked, honestly.
Yeah, he wants him. I would be interesting. But anyways, we're just kind of giving an idea because we're looking at this comment for Victor. The Chargers are picking all the way back here at 21. And yeah, man, it's gonna be tough because running backs just, I mean, yeah, I get it. Bijan is he's a special cat, man. He's ranked 27 with the current average draft projection here for the actual NFL draft at 25.7. So that's right there. I mean, that's right there in range. They do need they need more help on their defense though too, man.
Speaking of running backs, Andy,
they need wide receivers too.
Haven't done this in a while, but I did send you a DM with a little eBay link.
Let's see.
If you want to share that with the chat. It's not draft related, but I figure there's only a few minutes left in it, and I'll throw that out there. You know, I like my mosaics, and who doesn't like a good gold number?
Oh, it's gold.
And it's number 1 out of 10. Some people like a little extra 1 or 10 for the bookend there.
Yeah, talking to Jonathan Taylor Cards, man, he's big on the bookends. He thinks the bookends add a lot of value. 1 out of 10 gold. Oh yeah, this is a ripe for the pickings, man. Right here.
Interestingly enough, I think that's the same seller as the Darnold you've been on.
TNT North in J?
I think so.
I wonder what the current value. I appreciate you sharing that, Steve. That is a really good snipe, guys. Definitely can capitalize on that one. It's gold. That's easy. $100 plus upside.
Bob, I'm waiting too, man. Waiting to see who's got the shirt connect. We need to get it made. Andy's got the shirt connect, I think.
Don't scoff at Goff t-shirt. Oh yeah, I could make don't scoff at Goff.
Can we get the @ be like the ampersand sign too?
No, we don't want AJ Dillon to buy that. We want to buy that, Philly.
Exactly. He's got enough of his rare cards already.
Yeah. But we do want to get him on the show, so maybe I try and buy it and then give it to him. But last I checked, he only collects his 1-of-1s. There was a 1-of-1 that James spotlighted for me, and I missed it, man. I should have just shelled out the cash and bought that one. I probably got him on the show with that one. Let's
Andy,
see.
it's got a little more time than the last one I sent, but I've got a pretty cool speculative buy. It comes from your favorite set and mine. You'll see it in just a moment.
DK is always a target, but he's so expensive, man. He's still so expensive. So he's
never
like
goes down in value for some reason.
Yeah,
man.
you know, he's one of those guys. Like, I think your best time to buy him is like November. It's November, unless he's, you know, a top 3 wide receiver. But I think there's a good chance where he's top 10, top 15, but not top 5. And being top 10, top 15, his values would be a little bit lower than they are now. It's tough, man. You got to pay a premium for him. It's hard to invest in him per se, because you're going to pay a premium. You see every single one of his listings that are worth anything have bids, you know, so you're going to pay a premium, but yeah. Let's see what else you sent me here.
Someone said he looks expensive unless he's PC. Yeah, no, I've tried to get in on his market a bit, and there's definitely a barrier up.
Cracked ice Trask.
These don't come along too often, man. This presents a very maybe possibly moderate risk to extremely high reward. There's no way this card ends up anywhere near the price it's at right now. Probably. Maybe. I think it ends up probably over 500, but if not for the Baker signing, this card would end at 800 plus, maybe more, but I think the waters have been muddied a bit.
Yeah. And I'm gonna wait personally. I'm gonna wait to potentially buy Trask in like October, November. We'll see. I gotta wait it out at this point, or at least wait until it looks like Baker's gonna start, and maybe that suppresses the Trask values. We say hi to Ryan in the chat. He's got a really good show idea. Ryan is an awesome patron and Quest supporter. And Ryan and I have had a chat behind the scenes. He actually does a comic book podcast on a weekly basis. He's got some really interesting ideas for the Football Card Quest channel for content. So I got to catch up with him. James said, does Juju go into the patch change his card value at all? It did, James, in a positive manner. We were looking at earlier in the stream, we spent about probably a good 15 minutes looking at the values of Juju Smith-Schuster's market, and they have absolutely gone up. They have gone up. So, yeah, he immediately steps into an alpha role. I mean, he's their number 1 wide receiver. It's, you know.
He's not behind the wall of the shadow of Kelsey. He's their number 1 option now.
And it's a much bigger collection base. I mean, the fan base there is massive. So Bjorn has got only $20. He's only got $20, and he wants to buy 3 guys. Well, I guess we could give you 3 guys to look at, and then you could figure out what to do with your $20, but that's not much. You're definitely gonna have to look at more of the base side of things. Maybe you can find like an optic hollow. Maybe you can go back, Steve. What do you think about going back right now and maybe looking at like 2020 optic hollow, like T. Higgins, for example, because nobody's talking about it. I mean, it's a contender team. And with all this focus on all these other players changing teams, you've got a guy at T. Higgins, 1,000+ yard receiver on a Super Bowl team nobody's talking about. It always makes sense to go back and look at a player like that. So try and think like that. Try and zig when other people are zagging, or zag when they're zigging. And I think that's a perfect example of a guy that's just like flying under the radar. If you only got $20, it's going to be tough, but I would pull all that money together and try and buy like one rookie ticket auto or one serial numbered prism or something for $20. Spend it all on that one card. T. Higgins is a great player, easy investment. You'll make money on that. I
think the optic hollow tees are on the low, on a bad day 5, on a good day 10, I would say.
Yeah. And it's a card like, look at Justin Jefferson. I mean, I'm not expecting to get up to Justin Jefferson prices, but maybe around the Super Bowl or something. And that Justin Jefferson optic hollow raw got up to like $60, dude, at the beginning of last season, and certain times throughout last season. So, I mean, look at that. I mean, so if you can get the optic hollow T. Higgins for $5, you can easily turn around with a plain white envelope and charge $1.75 shipping and work your way up that way. You can sell that thing for 10 to 15, and just kind of grind your way up. Yeah, it's gonna be time consuming. It'll be a little bit more of an arduous task if you don't have more money to play with up front, but you can grind your way up that way.
Or like your original idea, find a speculative buy with an auto with a serial number of a guy who's maybe hasn't proven himself yet or had a down year last year. Those are the kind of guys that sneak back onto the radar and end up being, 2-3x type transactions.
So James is actually asking about, like, I think what you're asking about is what we think his actual production will be like. So he does step in with the Patriots releasing Jacoby Myers. Juju Smith-Schuster steps into a primary role. I mean, he's going to be their number one wide receiver. I mean, what's his name? Tyquan Thornton is like a speedster type gadget guy. He's not going to be their target hog. He's not going to get the bulk of the targets. Last year, Jacoby Myers got 95 targets. The year before, 126. I think Mac Jones didn't play bad last year either. I mean, Mac Jones, I think a lot of people thought he played a lot worse than he did because of all that controversy with Bailey Zappi. But Mac Jones, like, actually had a pretty decent amount of right under 3,000 passing yards. So he's got a lot of room to go up there. Ranked 17th in pass attempts with 442, but his red zone completion percentage was the 8th best quarterback. Play action completion percentage was 9th best. And deep ball completion was 11th best. So, he didn't play bad. Like, he didn't play that bad. I think that he threw the ball pretty well, especially deep, man, and against man coverage. So, I don't think his Juju's production really goes down compared to what it was as a wide receiver 2-3 in Kansas City.
Agreed. And touching back on the previous question, Anani and Cray said in the chat, Kyle Pitts. Now you want to talk about it. We discussed him last week, a guy that fell off the radar and I think will soon be back on it. That's a perfect example. You mentioned optic hollow, Andy. Kyle Pitts optic hollow is like, I don't know, $2-3 right now. That's a great example of a card that you can get into for the real cheap and has good upside. It's not going to be $100 card ever, probably. If the Jefferson's sitting at 60, you're probably looking at like maybe 40 on the high end if he has like a legendary season or something like that. But even if it becomes a $15 card, that's a pretty big upside.
Yeah, man. Bob says a Cole Kmet, our rookie ticket auto.
Yeah.
Craig Carter and Kenny Tucker. It's like Kyle Pitts is good. And we talked about Kyle Pitts and tight ends last week. So definitely, he's another guy nobody's talking about. They could potentially draft a quarterback we just talked about. That would be always look at these elite wide receivers nobody's talking about. That makes sense. Yeah, man. Quarterbacks. We talked a lot about a lot of quarterbacks earlier. We talked about the potential in Darnold in September. Like 49ers clearly are not drafting a quarterback, so that's a pretty decent play, man. I put in a bid earlier. Russell Wilson's got nowhere to go but up. You could definitely look at his cards. They're a fraction of what they used to be. And they got nowhere to go but up, man.
Bob's got a lot of the same takes that I have, man. He likes Goff, he likes Komet, Rashad Penny. I agree, man. That's a huge pickup. Andy mentioned earlier about how great of a season he had towards the end of the year, a season and a half ago. But then ended up getting hurt, and that's just a guy that just needs a bit of luck to stay healthy, and he could have easily 1,000-yard season, if not better.
So Philly Freak said the AJ Dillon gold that you shared with us, Steve, PSA 9 closed 18 bids, $107.50. So a PSA 10 for only $22 more is a massive steal. On average, you're gonna find PSA 10s anywhere from 300 to 500% more than a PSA 9. I mean, it's just depending on the scarcity. The PSA 10s are going to go from anywhere from at least 2x to a lot of times 3x to 5x more than a PSA 9.
If it's the same card in a 10, that's a steal.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this comment here from James. He's still learning how to balance the hype factor with someone like Mahomes versus how just production affects value. And then it's also a big factor is the fan base of the New England Patriots, and how, if you look at the stigmatism around wide receivers for the Patriots over the past I don't know how many years since Brady left there now, it seems like, or since Randy Moss played there or something, Julian Edelman and Randy Moss and Gronk played there and stuff. It's like they haven't had a good one. But I think this is they're looking at extending. They brought in Bill O'Brien, so they now have an actual real offensive play caller who understands offenses, has experience calling an offense in the NFL. Bill Belichick's not doing it. Matt Patricia's not doing it. All right, they've got a real offensive play caller in there now. He should absolutely increase the production and the passing volume of Mac Jones, now entering his third year. So I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. I think that Juju's going to step into their primary wide receiver role, and I think they're gonna pepper him with targets, man. And I think he's going to have a bigger production year this year. And there's a lot more fans in New England that are going to now be targeting his cards. So he's a guy I do expect to, this is like the new, his cards spiked a little bit from the trade, and then they're going to balance out. And I think with his time in New England, and he also signed a multi-year contract, that he will actually slowly ascend in value as well, Steve.
Yeah, as long as he continues to be a productive member of the team and, turn that offense around, I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, the market size definitely plays a huge role, not just from going to like a Super Bowl team to a non-Super Bowl team, or Mahomes to not Mahomes in this case, but the role and the market size, including the hobby market size, is probably a bigger factor than how good the team actually is.
Yeah, for sure. Bob got him. Yeah, Rashad Penny. We talked about that play earlier. So yeah, man, we talked about a ton of plays. Ryan doesn't like Billy. Brian wasn't a good play caller here in Houston, if that's who's calling. Well, but he was a head coach there. So, I mean, look, They had Matt Patricia calling offensive plays for them last year. Look, it's the same thing as you go from, the Broncos having Nathaniel freaking Hackett as their head coach last year. You got nowhere to go but up. It was like the same thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Urban Meyer as their head coach in Trevor Lawrence's rookie year. You literally had nowhere to go but up. I mean, it was just that bad of coaching, Yeah, Derek says anyone is better than Matt Patricia. I mean, this is what we're talking about now. So it's like there's nowhere to go but up, and I think that they're just kind of people are going to be looking at Juju's numbers as a wide receiver 2-3 on Kansas City, even though it was a high octane offense. But he's now going to be stepping into a 25% target share. The target competition for him now in New England is nothing like it was in Kansas City. He's going to be the primary receiver there. And I think that he easily eclipses 1,000. I mean, the guy has been a top 3 wide receiver in the league going back to 2018, 2019 with Ben Roethlisberger before he really started to decline. The guy put up almost 1,500 receiving yards. So, I mean, I think he at least puts up over 1,000 receiving yards with triple-digit targets, and he's probably going to go undervalued. He may go undervalued because people may underrate the Bill O'Brien move to New England and how that offense can absolutely be much better this year, especially in the passing game. So, hey, I'm going to have some exposure. I'm going to have some exposure there, Steve.
I could see the Patriots taking a tight end. One of the guys we talked about a couple weeks ago, I could see them going there because I don't know if you saw that they traded Jonnu Smith to Atlanta, I believe. I think that lines them up for potentially a tight end, unless somehow like Jackson Smith falls all the way to them. They'd be foolish not to take him, but I could see them taking a tight end. They're like the Bears in that they just always draft too many tight ends. I could see it happening again. Although there's 2 really good tight ends at the top of this draft class.
I sold my Kadarius Toney. There's actually some hype that is picked up for Kadarius Toney. His prices have gone up. I doubled my money on the gold Kadarius Toney from XR that I was holding. I don't have any more Toney in my collection now, but there's absolutely going to be talk about Toney this offseason in the Kansas City offense. He had some really interesting film studies with Kansas City in the playoffs and down the stretch this past year. He's obviously, they've got a lot of vacated targets. They're also, I think Mecole Hardman's on the move too, Steve. So it's like, it's really Travis Kelce, their number 1 wide receiver, but behind him, Toney's like a gadget guy. He's not reliable to have a big target share, so I don't ever expect him to even be at Juju Smith-Schuster level good in terms of target share, but he's an electric athlete. And when he does get the ball in his hands, he's got the ability to score from anywhere. And if he at least can stay healthy and like study the playbook and be on the field, then I do think that people are like, there's going to be some people probably overdrafting Toney. And if they're overdrafting him in fantasy drafts or reaching on him in the 5th or something round, when they should be drafting Juju Smith-Schuster on the Patriots, then, I think that same thought process is going to carry over to the card market heading into September. There's going to be people probably overpaying for Toney cards, which means you could probably maybe buy them now because he's not getting a lot of talk. Maybe in auction. I sold mine to buy it now listing. That's, and someone wanted to have it, as a premium card. So, hunt down those auctions. He's got a lot of them. 2021 rookie product, and then flip them heading into the season. It's a play. It's definitely a play, Steve.
He's got a Super Bowl connected to his name. The talent around him is aging or evaporating. If he could, keep that injury bug to a minimum, kind of like we talked about that first of all, that goes back all the way to the Giants. I feel like every Giants receiver pre-Odell Beckham is just listed as like questionable or doubtful every week. So if he can shake that that attachment. He's got an amazing athletic profile, and who knows, maybe it could shape up to be a pretty big weapon.
Yeah. All right, guys, this has been a really fun show, but yeah, it is getting late. We're past the 2-hour mark tonight. What a great live stream. Appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you go down there and hit that like button and let the YouTube algorithm know what's up over here on the quest. And we will see you guys next time, Steve.
That's right, everyone. Have a great evening. Catch you next week.
Peace.